I have frequently made up my mind about my ways. And then a sudden change of heart has kept me from finishing many times. And through school, university, and personal development, I've shifted goals and intents many times. Once I even switched college majors 4 times. And I'm a very curious person, but curiosity alone haven't been enough to sustain those differing subjects of interest. And there are, of course, other reasons or excuses really as to why. When I was studying engineering, I didn't think I knew enough math. And when I wanted to become an artist, I didn't think I sketched well enough. And when I was thinking about going into film, I didn't know the right people. And I told myself all those things, even before I failed. And I think a lot of people do that. Because it's nice to have the excuses ready, even before the uncomfortable questions come your way. But what's more important? More times than not, I found myself in the right spot at the right time. I have even appreciated those times that I failed. And here's my theory as to why. Curiosity may be a driving force for knowledge, but learning, and especially that within formal education, requires much more than so. And I want to focus on some of the other keys that I found on how to achieve results, productivity, and meaning. Because I believe it's fair to say that curiosity is actually the mother of all learnings. It has nurtured culture as well as technology, and from a combination of different fields, often innovation can stem and blossom. And elementary schools are actually quite good at sustaining that. I mean, the primary curricula, it covers both communication and practical skills, as well as theories and history and science and technology. But as one digs deeper and deeper, the separation of topics becomes clearer, but from my own experience, the pedagogical efforts, they also tend to not involve the different learning types that people are and that people need. And it becomes less and less inspiring. So my efforts in higher education, and academics, they always seem to have failed when there's been no creativity, no group dynamics. And I know I'm not alone, because if you ask students today what they would do if they didn't have to worry about money, for example, if you could just ask them about disregard your fears and just what do you want to do? A lot of engineering students tells you they want to become writers. Or linguists say they want to become poets. Art students want to become inventors. Why? Well, they're curious, but they're also, like most people, given their right context, creative. And learning how to create new things requires that both of those processes are accounted for. Thankfully, we live in a time where curiosity can be still within the tap of a button. And even though that disruption hasn't really been reflected within academic institutions yet, I think that people are already changing. They're changing their behaviors, and they're tapping into the potential of themselves and everyone around them. And I mentioned disruption, which I think most people here, they can acknowledge, but that it's happening, the age of disruption. even though it's quite hard for me personally to sort of pinpoint exactly where's that at in my life. And I want to make a point out of saying that we shouldn't stop any of the learning types that are working out well in formal and non-formal education. If there's one thing that I want you to take away with you from today, though, it's that it's your responsibility to make the most out of your interests, that you pique your curiosity. And I found that it doesn't require talent or flair to build learnings that are both wide and high. Yes, it helps, but so does exercising regularly, eating healthy, or checking your privileges. The foundation that makes up knowledge, your personal knowledge base, it's actually based on 3 pillars. It's the facts, the results of your perception and reasoning, your abilities or skills, which is what you acquire through practice and repetition. And then there's competence, which is the performance or quality of how well you perform or how well you acquire that knowledge and those skills. And basing my insights on those 3 categories, I found that I can assess my own learnings better. I can assess how and what I learn. And I'm going to show you one method of doing that. This is a very simple structure for how I look at my learning cycles these days. Say you get an idea. Maybe you read something, or you hear something, or you get an idea, and from there you process it mentally. And maybe you try and test it by sharing it with a friend. Or you try it out yourself. And afterwards you take the time to think that through. And you ask yourself, what happened? How did it make me feel? Why? Given enough time and effort, that gives you a reflection. And sometimes that's enough to get that space to sort of handle any distress or problems that might arise because you failed in your thinking or in your practice. On other times, even if the test was successful, that room gives you enough time to maybe question your whole methodology. And you ask yourself, was this just a 1 in a million thing? Or, there's also the possibility that you actually figured out how the world works. And then you've learned something. Either way, you have learned something new. And then you can try to come up with a new test, again and again. And this is actually the exact kind of bare bones methodology that I see fit for processing TED. There is often more complex things that are at stake than curiosity alone can handle. And thankfully, this learning procedure leaves me, at least, enough freedom to let my creativity figure out how to connect the dots and how to bridge those gaps. Either if it's on my own or if it's with my peers. And I think that's a learning word spreading. And I think that's how I let curiosity shape my life. Thank you.